The royal evil queen, Athaliah, was a woman whose ambition burned like a consuming fire. Born into the royal family of Israel, the daughter of the wicked king Ahab and his notorious wife, Queen Jezebel, she was raised in an atmosphere of manipulation, deceit, and idolatry. From a young age, she learned that strength came through control and ruthlessness, not mercy or justice. With every step she took, she exuded a ruthlessness that knew no bounds, and her heart, hardened by years of tyranny, was driven by an insatiable thirst for control. Athaliah was cold-hearted and calculating. A queen who would stop at nothing to secure her reign, she wielded power like a weapon, determined to dominate anyone who stood in her way, even if that meant eradicating her own family. When her son, King Ahaziah, died, she saw an opportunity to seize the throne of Judah for herself and immediately ordered the deaths of all potential heirs, thinking she could secure her reign by eliminating any competition. Her ambition was matched only by her cruelty, and her reign was marked by violence and oppression. Athaliah's cruelty extended even to her own bloodline, ordering the deaths of her own grandsons to eliminate any rival to her throne. Athaliah was the epitome of a power-hungry ruler. Cold, calculating, and merciless, she ruled over Judah with an iron fist, crushing any hope of rebellion and eradicating the worship of the true God. However, as determined as she was to hold on to power, Athaliah's ruthless ways ultimately led to her downfall. In the shadows, God's plan was unfolding, and the true heir to the throne, hidden from her sight, was about to reclaim what was rightfully his. Join us as we dive into the dramatic and tragic story of Athaliah, a woman whose ambition blinded her to the power of God's plan, leading to a kingdom's restoration and a rightful king returning to the throne. Once upon a time, in the ancient kingdom of Judah, a woman named Athaliah rose to power in a way that would forever change the course of history. She was a queen, but not one who came to the throne through rightful inheritance. Instead, her story was one of cunning, ambition, and ruthless ambition. Athaliah was born into the royal family of Israel, the northern kingdom, and she was the daughter of King Ahab and Queen Jezebel, two of the most notorious rulers in Israel's history. Ahab, a king known for his weakness and idol worship, had married Jezebel, a Phoenician princess who brought with her the worship of Baal and other false gods. This marriage was an alliance between Israel and the surrounding pagan nations, but it would also bring great turmoil. The very first time we heard about Ahab in the Bible is in 1 Kings 16:30. Ahab, son of Omri, did evil in the sight of the Lord, more than all who were before him. Historically, Ahab is often remembered as one of the most ruthless kings to have ruled over Israel during his time. Now imagine a wicked king to form an alliance with an equally wicked princess who had no regard for Yahweh, the God of Israelites. Such a dangerous alliance it is, such a disaster for Israelites. Jezebel was known for her beauty, intelligence, and strong personality, able administrator, a crafty thinker, self-willed, and now a domineering wife. King Ahab was known for selfish, wicked, ungodly, and greedy. She was the perfect match for him, just the right balance for Ahab. Together, they promoted idolatry and wickedness among the Israelites, ultimately leading them astray from their faith and values. Under their influence, Israel turned away from the Lord and embraced idolatry, leading to widespread corruption and disaster. 1 Kings 16:31. There was never anyone like Ahab, who sold himself to do evil in the eyes of the Lord, urged on by Jezebel, his wife. As a daughter of such a family, Athaliah was raised in an environment filled with intrigue and power struggles. Her upbringing was marked by the idolatrous practices and ambition that her mother, Jezebel, instilled in her. Athaliah was not one to shy away from using her influence to achieve her goals. She was accustomed to seeing her mother's power over her husband, King Ahab, and the kingdom of Israel. Athaliah's marriage to King Jehoram of Judah, a member of the royal house of David, was a political alliance designed to strengthen the ties between Israel and Judah. But it was a marriage that would bring tragedy to her new kingdom. When her husband Jehoram died, his son Ahaziah, Athaliah's own son, became king of Judah. However, Ahaziah, though young, was heavily influenced by his grandmother Jezebel's wicked ways. He aligned himself with Israel's idolatry and the corrupt ways of his mother's family. Tragically, Ahaziah's reign was short-lived. He was mortally wounded during a battle with the forces of the king of Israel, and he died soon after. 2 Chronicles 22:3. He too followed the ways of the house of Ahab, for his mother encouraged him in doing wrong. At this moment, when the throne of Judah was vacant, Athaliah saw an opportunity. She did not want to see her family's rule end with her son's death. So, without hesitation, she made a shocking and cruel decision. Athaliah ordered the deaths of all the royal heirs, anyone who could potentially challenge her claim to the throne. She was determined to rule Judah herself. However, in the midst of this bloodshed, a glimmer of hope appeared. Jehosheba, the wife of the high priest Jehoiada, managed to rescue one young child from the massacre. This child was Joash, the son of King Ahaziah, and therefore the rightful heir to the throne of Judah. Jehosheba hid Joash in the temple of the Lord, away from Athaliah's reach. For 6 long years, Joash remained hidden, growing up in secret, while Athaliah continued her reign in the palace, unaware that the true king was still alive. 2 Kings 11:2. But Jehosheba, the daughter of King Joram and sister of Ahaziah, took Joash son of Ahaziah and stole him away from among the royal princes who were about to be murdered, and put him and his nurse in a bedroom. Because Jehosheba, the daughter of King Jehoram and wife of the priest Jehoiada, was Ahaziah's sister, she hid the boy from Athaliah so she could not kill him. During these years, Athaliah ruled without opposition. Athaliah's rule over Judah was a dark chapter in the kingdom's history, characterized by cruelty, fear, and the corruption of faith. As queen, Athaliah sought to reshape Judah according to her own desires, particularly by promoting the worship of foreign gods. She was heavily influenced by her mother, Queen Jezebel of Israel, and brought with her the pagan practices of idol worship, particularly the worship of Baal. She sought to stamp out the worship of the true God, replacing it with the false gods of her family. The people of Judah suffered under her tyrannical reign, and the temple of the Lord, once a center of faith and worship, lay in ruin. Athaliah's leadership was marked by an atmosphere of fear and oppression. She ruled with an iron fist, and her reign was free from any tolerance of dissent. Anyone who opposed her rule or her policies faced swift and brutal punishment. The kingdom of Judah suffered under her despotic leadership, as Athaliah showed no mercy, even to her own family, in her quest to maintain power. Her reign continued for 6 years, and in that time, Judah's spiritual and political life was deeply impacted by her actions. Yet, in the shadows of the temple, a plan was unfolding to restore the rightful king. When Joash was 7 years old, Jehoiada, the high priest, decided the time had come to act. He gathered a group of loyal men, priests, soldiers, and leaders who were determined to see God's will done and restore the throne to the line of David. They hatched a plan to crown Joash king in secret and overthrow Athaliah. On the appointed day, Jehoiada revealed the young Joash to the leaders and priests, and they declared him the rightful king of Judah. They placed him in the royal robes, and the people, filled with joy, proclaimed him king. When Athaliah heard the sounds of celebration from the palace, she rushed to see what was happening. Seeing Joash crowned and the people rejoicing, she screamed, "Treason! Treason!" 2 Kings 11:14. She looked, and there was the king, standing by the pillar, as the custom was. The officers and the trumpeters were beside the king, and all the people of the land were rejoicing and blowing trumpets. Then Athaliah tore her robes and called out, "Treason! Treason!" But the soldiers, loyal to the true king, immediately surrounded her. They led her outside the palace, and with her cries still echoing in the air, Athaliah was put to death, and her reign of terror came to an abrupt end. With her death, Joash was installed as king. At just 7 years old, he began his reign under the wise guidance of Jehoiada. The people of Judah rejoiced, for the rightful heir to the throne had returned. Under Jehoiada's mentorship, Joash repaired the temple of the Lord and restored true worship in the land. The kingdom was healed, and the people turned back to God. 2 Kings 11:18. All the people of the land went to the temple of Baal and tore it down. They smashed the altars and idols and killed Mattan the priest of Baal in front of the altars. Athaliah's death marked the end of a dark chapter in Judah's history. Her ambition and ruthlessness had led to her downfall, while the faithfulness of those who served God, like Jehoiada and Jehosheba, ensured that the line of David would continue. And so, the kingdom of Judah was restored, and Joash, the child who had been hidden away, became a king who would bring renewal to the land. And thus, the story of Athaliah teaches us about the dangers of power seized through violence and deceit, and the triumph of God's plan even in the midst of great darkness.